The wind was sharp like knives. The snowstorm screamed across the dead land, covering everything in white. The sky was gray. The sun had not been seen in many days. She walked alone through the cold, her bare feet frozen and bloody. Her thin clothes were torn. She had no food, no strength, and no hope. Her name was Kale, but no one had called her that in years. On her planet, the weak were forgotten. Only the strong survived. And she was not strong. Kale had been running for 2 days now. The others had chased her out. No food for useless mouths, they shouted. She had begged, cried, even offered her body. But no one cared. She was ready to die. But then she saw it, a small glow in the distance. Orange and soft. Fire. Her eyes widened. She blinked to make sure it was real. Her legs moved without thinking. She stumbled forward through the snow, her body shaking. Each step was heavy, but she pushed on. The fire was inside a broken metal pod, half buried in the snow. Smoke rose from the top. Someone was there. She crawled the last few steps. And then she saw him, a man, sitting by the fire. Not one of her kind. Human. He looked different, bigger. His skin was strange, his clothes thick and warm. A weapon rested beside him, but his hands were calm. Kale froze. She didn't know what humans were like. Dangerous? Kind? She didn't care anymore. She fell to her knees, coughing. Her voice was dry. "I can warm your bed," she whispered. "Just one meal, please." The man looked at her. Not with hunger. Not with anger, but with pity. He didn't move for a second. Then he stood up slowly and walked toward her. Kale flinched, ready for pain, but he knelt down and took off his thick coat. He wrapped it around her shoulders. "You're freezing," he said softly. His voice was deep, warm. "Come inside." She blinked at him, confused. No one ever gave her clothes. Not without a price. He helped her walk to the fire. She sat down. Her hands shook from the heat. Then he brought her a small metal bowl filled with hot soup. The smell made her dizzy. She looked up at him. "Don't you want something first?" He frowned. "No, just eat." Kale stared at the bowl. Slowly, she lifted it and drank. The taste was amazing. Spices, real meat, warmth. Her body came alive. Tears fell from her eyes. "Why?" she asked. "Why are you helping me?" The man didn't answer at first. He sat beside the fire and looked into the flames. "My name is Grant," he said. "Finally, I crashed here, weeks ago." Kale wiped her mouth. "You're a soldier?" He gave a small nod. Was. Silence filled the space. The wind howled outside. The fire cracked. Kale couldn't stop shaking. Not from the cold, but from fear. This made no sense. "You're not like the others," she said. Grant looked at her. "Have you met humans before?" "No, but no one gives without asking. Not here. Everyone takes." He smiled sadly. "Then maybe it's time someone gave." She didn't understand him. He stood and added more wood to the fire. Kale stared at him. His eyes weren't cruel. His hands didn't touch her. He had power, food, and safety, yet he offered it freely. Was he a fool? Or something else? That night, after she ate and slept beside the warm fire, she woke in the dark. She heard his voice. Quiet. She peeked through half-open eyes. Grant was speaking into a small glowing device, not from her world. "I found life," he whispered. "Locals are still here, not all hostile." Kale froze. Who was he talking to? She held her breath, heart racing. Was he planning something? She didn't know, but one thing was clear. This man, this human, was not what he seemed, and her life had just changed forever. Asterisk snow tapped gently against the metal walls of the shelter. Kale sat near the fire, her hands wrapped around a warm cup. She didn't drink it. She just held it, like it might disappear if she let go. The silence was heavy, not the kind that hurt, but the kind that made you listen. Grant, the human, was outside. She could hear him moving, chopping frozen wood with sharp, clean swings. Cale looked around the small space. Everything was strange. No filth. No smell. No hunger. There was food in shiny packs, tools on clean shelves. A bed with soft cloth, untouched by dirt. A world unlike hers. She didn't belong here. She stood up slowly and looked at her reflection in a cracked mirror. Her face was thin, her eyes hollow. Her skin marked with scars, not from war, but from survival. And yet, last night, someone fed her without asking for anything. That had never happened before. Grant came inside, carrying a small bundle of branches. He nodded at her. "You should eat more," he said. Cale frowned. "Why?" Grant raised an eyebrow. "Because you're hungry." "No," she said sharply. "Why are you doing this?" He placed the wood near the fire and sat down across from her. "Because I can," he said simply. Cale narrowed her eyes. "You don't know me. I could steal from you. I could kill you in your sleep." Grant didn't flinch. He looked her straight in the eyes. "You're not a killer," he said. Cale's mouth opened, but no words came out. She wanted to deny it, wanted to prove she was dangerous. But was she? She lowered her head. "You don't understand this planet," she whispered. "No one helps. Not unless they want something." "I know," Grant replied. "That's what makes it so broken." Cale didn't speak for a while. The fire cracked between them. Finally she asked, "Where are you from?" Grant leaned back. "Earth, a blue planet, full of noise, color, people, and food. Too much food." Cale's eyes lit up. "Too much?" He nodded. "People throw it away. More than they eat." She looked at the cup in her hands, stunned. "Here, we kill for crumbs." "I know," he didn't smile. He wasn't showing off. Just telling the truth, and somehow that hurt more. She finished the drink. It tasted like nothing she'd ever had. Sweet, smooth, warm. "What's this?" she asked. "Hot chocolate." "Hot what?" Grant chuckled. "It's a comfort drink, from home." Cale smiled, just a little. "I don't think I've ever had comfort before." Grant didn't answer, but he watched her face carefully, like he was trying to understand her pain without asking. Later, Cale saw the glowing device again. He wasn't hiding it anymore. "What is that?" she asked. "A communicator," he said. "It's how I speak to my people." She stepped closer. "Did they answer you?" Grant hesitated. "Not yet. But they will." "Will they come here?" He nodded slowly. "Eventually." Cale stepped back, her heart racing. "And what will they do? Burn us? Save us? Take over?" Grant looked at her with calm eyes. "I don't know. I only know what I'm here to do." "And what is that?" He didn't reply. Instead, he pulled out a small black box. With a soft beep, it opened and showed a hologram. A map. Cale stared. The red dots moved across the screen like blood drops spreading in water. "What is that?" she whispered. He looked up. "Trouble," he said. Suddenly, a sound echoed outside. Not wind. Not snow. Something metallic. Something moving. Cale grabbed the coat tighter around her. Grant stood slowly, picking up his weapon. He turned to her and said one thing: "Stay close to me." The night didn't feel like night anymore. It felt like something was watching. Cale sat inside the pod, wrapped in Grant's coat. The fire was low now, and the shadows on the wall moved like ghosts. Outside, the wind had stopped, and that silence was louder than any storm. She glanced at the door. Grant was out there. Alone. With his weapon. She hadn't asked him to protect her, but he did. After what felt like forever, the door creaked open. Grant stepped in, his eyes scanning the corners. "All clear," he said. "For now." Cale stood up slowly. "What was that noise?" Grant placed his weapon down. "A drone, small. Probably a scout." "A scout? For what?" He didn't answer. Instead, he pulled out the black box again. The glowing map appeared. The red dots were closer now. Kale stared at it. She'd never seen technology like this. Not even the warlords had this level of gear. Her voice was shaky. "You're not just a soldier, are you?" Grant didn't look at her. "I was part of something bigger," he said. "A mission." Kale stepped closer. Mission for what? He sighed. To watch. To protect. To stop things before they spread. She frowned. Stop what? Grant finally looked at her. Harvesters. The word meant nothing to her, but the way he said it. It sounded like death. Grant sat down. Tired. He opened a sealed packet and handed her a bar. She took it slowly. "They go from planet to planet," he explained. "Strip everything. Water, metal, even people." Kale's eyes widened. "You mean they eat planets?" "They don't eat them. They drain them. Kill them. Leave nothing behind." "Why here?" She whispered. "Because your planet is weak now. Broken. Easy." Kale felt sick. She looked around the shelter. Warm, safe. "For now, you came." "To stop them?" Grant nodded. "That was the plan. What happened?" He paused. "They came early. My ship was shot down. I crashed. My team didn't survive." Silence again. Kale's heart was heavy. This man had lost everything, and yet he still gave her food. Still saved her life. "You could have left me to die," she said quietly. "I don't do that," he replied. Kale looked at him. "Even for strangers?" "Especially for strangers." She didn't know what to say to that. On her planet, mercy was weakness. Kindness was dangerous. But this human lived by different rules. Maybe that's what made him strong. She sat beside him. The fire burned low, but the warmth between them was real. Grant turned the map again. Zooming in, one red dot blinked near their location. Kale pointed. "What is that?" "Harvester probe. If it finds us, others will come." "Can we stop it?" Grant shook his head. "Not yet. Not alone." Kale's voice cracked. "Then what do we do?" He looked at her, not as a victim, but as a partner. "We move before it returns." She nodded. Then paused. "Grant, why tell me all this?" He gave her a sad smile. "Because soon you'll have to choose." "Choose what?" "Run and survive a little longer. Or fight for something bigger." That night, Kale couldn't sleep. The fire was out, but something inside her had lit up. Something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. Asterisk. The sun never rose on this planet, but something else did. Smoke. Far away. In the white hills of ice, a column of black smoke climbed into the sky. Thin, silent, but deadly. Kale saw it first. She stood on the edge of a cliff. Her arms crossed tight, Grant's coat around her shoulders. Her breath came out in little white clouds. She didn't blink, because she knew that smoke wasn't from firewood. It was from something metal. And alive. Grant climbed up behind her. He said nothing. Just looked at the smoke. Then he nodded. "They're here." Kale swallowed hard. "The harvesters?" Grant didn't move. "That's not them yet. That's their machines." She turned to him. "What do they want?" He looked at her with eyes that had seen too much. Everything. Back in the shelter, the fire was out. The map device was on again, and more red dots blinked now. Faster, closer. Kale watched the screen. She didn't understand all of it. But one thing was clear. They were no longer hidden. "We need to go," Grant said. "To where?" He pointed. "To the mountains. There's an old mining station. My team left supplies there. Maybe even weapons." Kale hesitated. "And if the harvesters are already there, then we take it back." She looked at him. The strange man from another world. He had no army. No backup. Just fire in his eyes. And secrets in his heart. "Still," she said, "I'll go." They packed quickly. No lights. No noise. Grant wore his armor now, dark and smooth like steel skin. His weapon hung on his back, glowing faintly. Cale carried a smaller pack, food, tools. A knife dot as they moved through the ice valley. The snow fell quietly, almost peacefully. But the peace was a lie. Halfway through the trek, Cale stopped. She heard something, a hum, low, mechanical. "Grant," she began. He grabbed her and pulled her behind a rock dot. Then they saw it. A long silver creature floated above the snow. No wings, no face. Just glowing eyes and spinning limbs. A harvester drone. Cale held her breath. Her hand gripped the knife, but Grant just watched. The drone scanned the ground, moved in slow circles, then disappeared into the fog. Only then did Grant speak. "They're searching." Cale looked at him. "For us?" He nodded. "And for others." Her chest tightened. "There are others?" "Scattered," he said. "Afraid, starving, like you were." She bit her lip. "Then, maybe they need help too." Grant looked at her. Something in her voice had changed. He smiled. By nightfall, they reached the mining station. The door was broken. The walls cracked, but the place still stood. Inside, dust covered the floor. Old machines blinked weakly. Grant opened a secret hatch in the floor. Inside, crates, weapons, armor, dried food. Cale's eyes widened. "All of this, why didn't you use it before?" "I was waiting," Grant said. "For what?" "For someone who wouldn't run." Cale stepped forward and picked up a strange-looking tool. It hummed in her hand. "What is this?" she asked. "Plasma torch," he said. "Cuts metal, or enemies." She smiled. For the first time, she felt powerful. Later that night, as they ate in silence, Cale asked, "Why do you care what happens to this world? It's not your home." Grant looked at her. Then he said, "Because home isn't where you're from. It's where you choose to fight." She didn't reply, but something inside her cracked open. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was changing. Suddenly, the lights flickered. A sound echoed in the distance. Boom. Boom. Not footsteps, but landfall. Grant stood slowly. "They're not sending machines anymore," Cale whispered. "Then what?" He looked at the door. Soldiers. The mining station shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. Machines blinked and died. The fire in Cale's chest, the one Grant lit with hope, turned cold again. Boom. Boom. Not footsteps. Drops. Hips. They had landed. Cale ran to the window. Outside, dark shadows moved across the ice. Silent, tall, armored. Not human. Not her kind either. Grant stood behind her, calm but alert. He was loading a weapon, long and heavy, glowing with blue light. "Time's up," he said. Cale looked at him. "We can't fight them, not just us." "We don't have to win," Grant said. "We just have to survive." The door rattled. Cale stepped back. "Tell me what to do," she said. Grant tossed her a small metal disc. "Press this, then run." "What does it do?" "You'll see." The moment the door broke open, Cale pressed the disc and threw it. Flash. Blinding blue light exploded. The walls trembled. The invaders screamed, or whatever sound machines made when they were confused. Cale and Grant ran through the back exit, down a narrow tunnel carved in stone. Behind them, the sounds of war echoed. Sparks, screams, metal on rock. They didn't stop running for an hour. Only when the mountain swallowed the sky above them did Grant stop. They were deep now, underground, where machines couldn't fly. Cale dropped to her knees, gasping. Her voice shook. "They didn't even chase us." Grant sat against the wall. "They didn't need to. They placed a tracker." Cale's heart dropped. "Then why run?" "To lead them away," he said. She blinked. "From what?" He pulled out the map device. Zoomed in. This time, the red dots were far behind, but a new set of green lights appeared in the corner. Cale frowned. "What's that?" Grant smiled. "Just a little. People." Farther in the tunnels, Cale saw them. 3. maybe 4 thin. Dirty, scared, outcasts like her. Hiding in the dark, they held sticks, rusted tools. But their eyes lit up when they saw Grant. One of them stepped forward. An old man limping. "You came back," he whispered. Grant nodded. "Told you I would." Cale looked at him in disbelief. "You knew they were here?" He didn't answer. He handed the old man a ration pack. Cale stared at the group. Children, a mother, a blind woman, starving survivors. They don't even have weapons," she said softly. "They don't need weapons," Grant said. "They need a chance." That night by firelight, Cale sat with the others. They listened as Grant spoke. He told them the truth about the harvesters, about the coming wave, about the fight they couldn't avoid. "We can't run forever," he said. "We either stand now or lose everything." No one spoke. Cale looked around. These weren't soldiers, they were people. But something in their eyes had changed. They weren't just scared now. They were angry. Later, Cale sat alone. Grant joined her. "You lied," she said. He raised an eyebrow. "About what? You said it was just you. You never said you had a plan, or people." He looked into the fire. "Would you have come if I had?" She didn't answer. He continued, "You were broken. Not useless, just lost." Cale looked down. "And now?" He turned to her. "Now you're something else." In the distance, the tunnel shook again. Not from fear. From preparation. Because now the fight had begun. The cold was gone. Not because the ice melted, but because something new had taken over. Fire. Not from the sky, not from machines. This time, the fire came from people. From the broken, from the forgotten, from those who had nothing left but each other. Grant stood at the center of the cave. His armor gleamed faintly in the shadows. Around him stood 10 people. Old, young, weak, silent. And yet, every one of them had a weapon in their hands now. Some real, some made from scrap. Cale stood beside him, no longer hiding behind coats or fear. Her eyes were sharp, her hands steady, a plasma torch at her side. They weren't soldiers, but they were ready. Grant pulled up the map. A red wave was coming. Fast. "We have 12 hours, he said. "Maybe less." Cale stepped forward. "What happens when they get here?" He looked at her. "Then we fight." In the next few hours, the cave became a camp. Cale helped the children hide deeper in the tunnels. Others set traps, wires, fire bombs, sharpened stakes. They didn't have much, but they had something the machines didn't. Single quotes colon anger. And now, hope. Cale sat on a rock, sharpening a blade. Grant sat across from her, adjusting his armor. "You look different," he said. Cale smiled faintly. "I feel different. What changed?" She paused. "I stopped waiting for someone to save." "Me," Grant nodded. "You saved yourself." She looked at him. "No," she said. "You reminded me how." That night, as silence fell again, the cave lights flickered. A deep, distant hum began to rise. Cale stood up. "They're here." The ground shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. Red lights appeared. Outside the tunnel. Not blinking. Not searching. Marching. The harvesters had arrived. Grant stood tall, his weapon glowing in both hands. "Hold the line," he said. The fighters took their positions. Cale stood near the entrance, next to the old man. His hands trembled, but he nodded at her. She nodded back. Then, the first shadow entered. A metal beast, long arms, sharp legs, glowing core. It stepped forward. And met Cale's. Torch. Fire. Sparks flew. The creature shrieked. Others followed. But the cave, their home, was ready. Explosions lit the walls. Screams echoed. Some fell, but none ran. Cale fought like someone who had already died once and come back burning. She leapt, struck, rolled. Machine grabbed her arm. She stabbed its eye. Another fired at her. The old man threw a rock, just enough to distract it. Kale turned and sliced it in half. This was not survival anymore. This was war. Near the front, Grant was surrounded. 3 machines at once. He fired. Hit one. Dodged the second. The third struck him hard. He fell. Kale saw it. She screamed his name. Grant! She ran through the smoke. He lay still. Blood at the edge of his mouth. She dropped beside him. Don't die, she whispered. You're not allowed to die. He opened one eye. Not yet, he said weakly. There's still work to do. Then he handed her the last device. Small, red, pulsing. What is it? She asked. He looked at her. A signal. For help? No, he said. For fire. Kale stood. The machines were everywhere. The fighters were falling back. She held the signal. High. Closed her eyes. And pressed it. A second later, the sky outside split open. A roar loud as thunder. Above. A human warship broke through the clouds. It fired. The valley burned. Machines turned to dust. The harvesters screamed and vanished. And then silence. Later. Under the same black sky. Kale sat beside Grant. He was alive. Barely. She held his hand. You came to save the world, she said. He looked at her. No, he whispered. I came to save you. The valley was quiet now. No fire, no machines, no war. Only ashes. And silence. But it wasn't the silence of death anymore. It was the silence that comes after victory. Kale sat on the frozen steps of the ruined station. Her hair was messy. Her clothes burned at the edges. Her hands were scraped and raw. But her eyes, they were alive. Grant lay inside the shelter. Still breathing, still healing. The human ship had sent medical drones. They had patched his wounds, but he was too weak to stand yet. Kale watched him sleep. Every now and then, he would mutter something, not in her language, but it didn't matter. She understood enough. Outside, the survivors moved carefully, cleaning, gathering, burying the fallen. No one cried. No one laughed. But they walked taller now, like they had found something they forgot existed. Worth. Kale returned to Grant's side. He was awake now, pale, quiet, smiling. Still here? He asked, voice weak. I told you, she said softly. You're not allowed to die, he chuckled. You never listen, she shrugged. Neither do you. He looked at her for a long time. You changed, he said. Kale nodded. I had to. No, he whispered. You chose to. A soft hum echoed outside. The ship was preparing to leave. The human rescue team had offered to take Kale with them. Food, warmth, even a real home. They said, you'll be safer on Earth. You can start over. She had walked away without answering. Now, she sat beside Grant and told him the truth. I had nothing before you, she said. Nothing but cold and dirt and pain. He looked at her, silent. You didn't just give me food, she continued. You gave me space. You gave me time. You let me exist without fear. She paused. And then, you gave me something no one ever gave me before. He blinked. What? A choice. Kale stood up. She picked up a small bundle, a bag, some supplies. The coat he gave her was still on her back, but now it looked like it belonged to her. He watched her walk to the door. Are you going? He asked. She turned back, smiled. I'm staying. His brow raised. Why? Kale walked back, knelt beside him, and took his hand. Because I want to. She pressed her forehead to his. And I don't trade warmth for food anymore. Outside, the ship rose into the sky. But Kale didn't watch it leave. She watched the people. The broken, the forgotten, now rebuilding. She had never been needed. Before. Now. She was part of something. Grant whispered one last thing before sleep took him again. You don't owe me anything. Kale looked down at him. I know, she said. That's why I stayed.